Do you need to know how to flush and clean the cooling system, or even change the radiator completely on your Fiesta? Stay tuned, this is for you. First of all, I'm going to remove the air intake pipe, twist back a few degrees and pull out. Down here there's a tie wrap through these holes that ties that on. I've cut that tie wrap off, and then this just slots out of position. We also need to remove the fan. On this new radiator I can show you how the fan mounts. The fan slots into these two receivers on each side of the radiator, and just above them there are these two snap-in clips that hold it into position. That we just have to lift that tag forwards a little bit on each side, and we can lift the fan up and pull it slightly rearwards, car wise, and drop it out. And for future reference, further into the video, you can see that there's a drain plug that you can remove. There's one in each corner at the top and bottom. On the back of the motor, on the fan, lift the tag up on the connector, and then the connector comes out like so. Then release the tags like I showed you a few moments ago, lifting the fan unit upwards by about an inch or so, and drop the fan unit out at the bottom of the car. To help me get improved access, I've removed this front grille. This just pulls out, it's clipped in. I've also removed this airflow director from below, that sits below the radiator here. It's held on quite simply with fir tree clips. Now we're giving this cooling system a flush with some flushing compound. In order to do that, we need to drain the system first and just put fresh water in it to help the flush along. On the radiator at the bottom corner inside there, undo the drain plug. While it's draining, remove the expansion bottle cap. Don't throw used antifreeze either straight onto the ground or down a surface drain at the side of the road. Used antifreeze, take it in and flush it away down the toilet. That way it will go to a treatment plant rather than just ending up in the streams and rivers. This stuff is extremely dangerous to aquatic life, so don't put it down a surface drain. As luck would have it for us, and it might work out that way for you, our downstairs toilet, which is just the other side of this wall, drains out into this sewer chamber here. So by taking the lid off, I've saved myself the bother of having to carry used antifreeze through the house, with the attendant risk of spilling some on our nice new carpets, and I can just tip it straight into the sewer from here. Follow the instructions on whatever cleaning product it is that you're using. I've got a cold air blower here which is quite powerful, so I'm using that to blow cold air through the radiator to stop it overheating. You could also put the inside heater of the car on full, or you could have, of course, not taken the fan out too early like I did. When you're draining out the flushing compound, pour in some extra water at the top. That'll flush the system through. I use pipe grips, and then similarly I use the pipe grips to release the pipe. We also need to release the lower radiator mounting. You'll need an 8mm socket to undo this screw here. And a 22mm or 7/8 socket to undo the mounting foot. And remove the rubber foot, remembering which way up it went. This top hose is connected with a quick release clip, so get a flat screwdriver behind it, pull the clip out, give the pipe a twist to release it, away she comes. If you look in the bottom left hand corner of this new radiator, this here is a slot for the condenser to mount to, and there's one on the other side too. But you can see that this one on this side has a clip feature built in, which needs to be released in order to separate the condenser and the radiator. And the way to do that is to use a screwdriver in this bottom left hand corner of the radiator here. And once you've done that, you can get your fingers around the left hand end of the condenser, push it to the right hand side of the car, do the opposite with the radiator. From the right hand end of the radiator, pull the radiator to the left hand side of the car and release the radiator from the condenser. Once released from the condenser, the radiator drops out of the bottom. And once you've got the radiator out, there are mounting bungs on the two top mounting posts. This plastic connector that goes on the inlet to the radiator at the top left is a little bit crusty inside. There's a little bit of scale and dirt in there, so I'm using a nylon brush to give it a good scrubbing internally, but you could just as easily use an old toothbrush. Now there is a rubber O-ring in there, and now that we've got that nice and clean, what we'll do in a minute is put a little bit of Vaseline on it. Now, as they say in all the best workshop manuals, reassembly is the reversal of removal. Don't forget to put the mounting bungs on the top of the radiator. Also, plug at the top. Make sure that you've got the right tool to be able to undo it. When we refill, we'll need to undo that to allow the radiator to bleed, to get the air out. It's a little fiddly, but once you've clipped the radiator to the back side of the condenser and the two are as one again, push it in at an angle up to the top, underneath the ends of the locking platform, just under here at each side there are two recesses for the mounting bungs to slot into, and you may have to bend the plastic surround a little bit to get the bottom back into position, but you get the bottom back into position with the mounting spigots in the centre of the big holes. The bottom right hose is simply a push fit back on. This too, put the clip back into position like so, and simply push until you hear it click in place. Now from underneath, put in the lower mounting bungs onto the lower mounting spigots, remembering which way up they went. Screw in the mounting platforms in the exactly reverse way to how you got them out. And finish it off with your 22mm socket, and don't forget to put in the little locking screws. The way these screws work is as you screw them in, the sharp point of the screw digs into the threads of the plastic mounting foot that you've just put in, and that stops it from coming undone. Before I put the fan back on, while I've still got access to the bleed and drain plugs, easy access, I've given the system 2 flushes with ordinary clean tap water, and I'm now going to give it a final flush with deionized water, mainly to make sure that the water is clean in the heater matrix, but also to try and get rid of as much tap water as possible, so that when I fill up with antifreeze, we end up with an antifreeze and deionized water mix. Now I'm putting red antifreeze in, which is 5-year life antifreeze. I've got the bleed screw out of the top corner of the radiator up here, and pour in the antifreeze into the expansion bottle slowly and gently until you see coolant come out of the bleed hole. The capacity of the cooling system is 5 litres on this 1.6 litre Duratec. So I'm putting 2 litres of concentrated antifreeze in, which will give me a 40% mixture. As soon as you see water come out of the bleed hole, get the bung back in and tighten up. Put the rest of my 2 litres of antifreeze into the expansion bottle. But the reason I buy the concentrated is because when you empty a cooling system, you actually never get all of the water and coolant out. In particular, you never empty the heater matrix behind the heater. So that's why I flush it with deionized water as my last final flush, and then fill up with concentrated antifreeze with the correct quantity, And then I'll now that I've finished pouring in all my 2 litres, I'll now top the system up with deionized water, and I've now got the correct quantity of the correct mixture in there. I filled the expansion bottle with deionized water once I'd put all the antifreeze in, filled it up to about the minimum mark. The fan hangs on this bracket and this bracket, a pair each side. The lower bracket just being a slot in and the upper bracket having a clip on it. So it goes back in from the bottom. There we go. Don't forget to remake the electrical connection. Now, put the air guide back into place. Place it back in from under the bumper and manipulate it past the bumper. 2 fir trees hold it in place here, and 1 at this end. Lower grille can go back into place. The upper grille slots into place there. Don't forget to make sure that the safety pull comes above that. Clip that down into there. Push the 2 clips at each side into the locking platform, and that's it. Job's a good one. Now I've filled the expansion bottle to the minimum mark, and I've run the engine for 10 minutes and it's still on the minimum mark. I would suggest running it for a short journey, maybe to and from work, and then check the level and top it up to the max mark when it's cold. In the time since I put the lower grille back on and put it all back together around there, about an hour has passed. The engine has cooled down and the fluid level dropped to below the minimum, so I've topped it back up with distilled water to about halfway between min and max. So the only thing that's left to do now, put the air duct back on. That simply slots into place here. We need to get a tie wrap in there to hold it into place. The tie wrap also needs to hold the cable. Put your finger in there and get the tie wrap on the end of your finger. Feed it through. Cut the excess off. Slot the duct back into the air box, and that's it, all done. Give this video a thumbs up. If you've got any personal experience, any comments, any ideas, anything that'll help the community out there, put them in the comments section down below. If this is your first time at my channel, please, I hope you will subscribe. There's a subscribe button down in the bottom right hand side of the screen, and I hope I'll see you on the other side of that camera again soon. Bye for now.